Giannis, the NBA postseason has been brutal and takes another victim last night. Giannis, with his team down 10 in the third quarter right here, lands awkwardly after contesting an alley-oop, immediately crumples to the ground. He walks off. He was clearly hampered. New today, imaging showed no structural damage per Woj and Zach Lowe on that hyperextended knee. He's listed as doubtful. As for a timeline just over 24 hours away, we will get to that in just a second. In terms of the Bucks without Giannis, well, it's not good. I mean, it would be a big impact on the Bucks title chances, right? If you were to miss the rest of the postseason, it would drop the Bucks' chances of winning the East from 80 to 66%. They'd still be the favorite, though. As far as winning it all, the Bucks' chances drop from 48 to 23%. Within the hour, his head coach, Mike Budenholzer, on Giannis.
Definitely do not trust the coach. Whatever the release said is what it is. Doubtful. At some point, you got to pull the trigger and make a decision, and we'll probably do that, and then we'll probably tell you we don't know who we're playing and starting and all that, and then a tip off or whenever you guys will get it, and it's kind of the normal routine. We should have our medical director come and speak to you. You guys got the coach to talk to you. So I think it'd just be best to leave it at he's questionable, and Giannis is going to do everything he can to be available.
The idea we're talking about potential availability after what we witnessed last night is sort of a miracle. Adrian Wojnarowski is joining us now. In reporting, Woj, that there was no structural damage to Giannis's knee, what else did you find out about the injury?
Well, certainly a tremendous sigh of relief for that Milwaukee organization. But now, I think Giannis Antetokounmpo, with this series tied 2-2, it's going to be his capacity to be able to come back from this. It is unlikely that he's out there in Game 5 for the Bucks. He has shown in his career to have a tremendous capacity to recover, but certainly he's in a race against the clock here with this series now tied 2-2 going back to Milwaukee. But Giannis Antetokounmpo did avoid a major knee injury.
It's interesting because on this very show just yesterday, we thought the most significant injury would be that of Trae Young. We announced here on the show he would be sitting out Game 4 with that bone bruise that was suffered here in Game 3 after stepping on the ref's knee. Here is his head coach, Nate McMillan, today with Trae still uncertain for Game 5 tomorrow.
We don't have two different plans. You have to adapt. And I think during the course of an NBA game, you're constantly adapting to situations that you can't really plan for. Trae, he's trying to give it a go, and 40 minutes before the game, he can't. So, okay, we got to adjust to him being out.
With that being said, Woj, what's the level of optimism inside the Hawks organization he'd be able to give it a go tomorrow?
There is not great optimism that he will be able to play in Game 5, but he's working toward it today. He continues, to rehab that foot, do everything he can to improve that range of motion, try to subdue, what's been a really painful injury. And I think he's going to take this up to Game 5 like he did in Game 4 and see if there's any possible way he can play for the Hawks. Certainly, perhaps it buys him a little time that Atlanta was able to tie this series up 2-2, but I think we'll know closer to game time tomorrow about Trae Young's availability.
Absolutely. It's a kind of an oversimplification, Woj, to just say next man up, but the Hawks did a great job in Trae's absence. We'll see if he'll be a go and if Giannis will be a go for Game 5. Woj reporting here on the Eastern Conference Finals.
Suns Clippers, they meet in Game 6 of the Western Conference Finals tonight, 9 Eastern on ESPN. Another series-clinching chance for the Suns as they're seeking their third NBA Finals appearance in franchise history. Phoenix has never won an NBA championship. How about this? Tonight will be the 290th playoff game in franchise history. So on the other side, Ty Lue's been here. He's been tremendous with his back against the wall. Lue has a 10-2 game record when facing elimination, the best record among head coaches to face elimination at least 8 times. But the Suns have also been very good in this spot. Phoenix has clinched the first 2 rounds this postseason on the road. A win tonight would tie their longest such streak in franchise playoff history. NBA reporter Dave McMenamin joining us now live from Los Angeles. And Dave, how would you describe the pressure around Chris Paul and the Suns as they look to close this series tonight against the Clippers on the road?
Kevin, it all comes down to compartmentalization. You don't think about the fact that you're playing a Clippers team that came back from down 0-2 in the first round, came back from down 0-2 in the second round, and now are mounting a comeback after they fell down 3-1. And you also don't think about what's happened historically in Chris Paul's career when he's gotten to this point and failed to reach the final stage. You just think about execution. Monty Williams said the team needs to play with force. They need to have a better competitive edge and come down and guard the ball better than they did in the first quarter of Game 5, where they fell down 15. Chris Paul says it's not just starting the game the right way, but it's ending quarters the right way. If you recall, in Game 5, they cut the lead down to 4 in the first quarter, and it went back up. They cut the lead, actually took the lead briefly in the third quarter, went back up to 13 by the start of the fourth, and in the fourth, we saw them cut it to 4 about halfway through, and then obviously the Clippers were able to run away with it. So it's just about staying in the moment, staying focused possession by possession. Don't think about the grandiose nature of what could occur if they do lose.
All right, we haven't seen really the fast-paced style for the Suns on offense that we saw at the start of the series. We'll see if that changes tonight with CP3 and Devin Booker. Dave McMenamin getting us ready for Game 6 outside L.A.
Prop bets on Game 6 of the Western Conference Final, which is tonight. Our friends at Caesars William Hill put this together. Phoenix, a 1-point road favorite with the total set at 214.5. And after scoring 41 points in Game 5, Paul George's points prop for tonight is set at 30.5 as we go live to LA, where we find PTI's Michael Wilbon joining us now. Mike, it feels like the Clippers are like Jason or Freddy in the horror movies. Every time you think you get away, they're just right there. They're right there on your tail.
Good analogy.
Right?
Good analogy.
But do you think that they can do it again and stage another comeback with Paul George?
Yeah, I do, Elle. And I don't know. It's so difficult to do it 3 times, right? 3 games in a row. But this is only the second game. They're at home, and everybody keeps saying, well, who's the pressure on? The pressure is on the team that could go home for the season. The pressure is on the Clippers. Do I think right now that they are up for that challenge and that Paul George, I don't get into gambling, Elle, but I heard that 30.5 points. 30.5 points ain't going to get it. Paul George is going to have most likely a bigger game, a bigger output than that. But, yeah, I think that the Clippers are up for this, and I think back-to-back wins to stave off elimination and going home for the season, I think that's within their power.
And they certainly have the head coach that's used to doing it too. Well documented that Ty Lue excels in these exact situations. Let's go to the East now. We saw the Hawks get a win last night without Trae Young, and now the Bucks may be without Giannis. What would you say is your level of confidence that the Bucks can still win this without him? Because, by the way, Michael Wilbon, Vegas still thinks they will.
Elle, I don't have any confidence in the Milwaukee Bucks with Giannis.
Oh.
I mean, are people not paying attention to the previous 2 years? I mean, how they've gone out of the playoffs, and certainly 2 years ago, when they were a favorite, up 2-0 in that conference final series against Toronto, up 2-0 and lost Game 3 in overtime. At least one overtime. I was there. I don't remember how many overtimes it is now. But no, I don't have that faith in the Milwaukee Bucks. I mean, they have such weird tendencies, and we can look at those tendencies over the 3 postseasons. If you tell me that Trae Young is going to be able to return, even if it's in games 6 and 7, even if, he can't play in game 5, I'm one of the few people that could see Atlanta winning this series because and especially without Giannis. I mean, do I believe that, with Middleton and crew, that Milwaukee ought to have enough? Drew Holiday, they ought to have enough? Ought to? And I keep hearing people around the league in the industry say that Milwaukee ought to have enough to win without Giannis. I'm not buying that. Everything they do is off Giannis. Middleton still has a lot of up and down games. Drew Holiday, up and down games. I don't know what Budenholzer is going to do with substitutions and pattern of play. And a guy like Bobby Portis, he can help you in one series. They don't put him on the court for a minute for 3 games. I don't have any faith in Milwaukee, even though would I concede they're probably the better team on paper? Yeah. But they're playing this on a hardwood, and I'm not willing to just concede this series to Milwaukee if Giannis is not going to be out there. It's so sad what has happened to the playoffs, Elle, as you know. Just so many injuries, and every series, it seems, is affected by it. And I hope that both Trae Young and Giannis can play. But if Giannis is not out there, I'm not going to just hand this to Milwaukee.
It's a little bit like the war of attrition, if you will. And I hate to use this cliche for you, Michael Wilbon. The Bucks have better players, but it looks like the Hawks are a better team. right? Michael Wilbon,
Yes,
right?
yes, we agree.
Joining us here on SportsCenter. You'll see more of Michael Wilbon on SportsCenter with Stephen A., which is coming up at the top of the hour, 7 Eastern, right here on ESPN. Thank you, Mike.
Still ahead, L. Here's Stephen A. Smith's take on the CP3 versus Paul George deciding factors in tonight's elimination game and the lasting impact of key injuries.